Jeb Bush is just hours away this morning from launching his bid for the White House. His team has just released this video in which Bush touts his experience as Florida governor. And he says he is, quote, ready to lead. And take a look at his campaign logo. It just says Jeb 2016 with an exclamation point.
Also hoping to make her mark, Hillary Clinton. She is in New Hampshire this morning after formally kicking off her campaign Saturday in New York City. Clinton entered the race more than 2 months ago. Face the Nation host John Dickerson is in Washington. John, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
Let's begin with Jeb Bush. What do we expect him to say, and how does he sort of position his race?
Well, we expect him to talk about the things he did in Florida as governor. He's going to present himself as a doer, not just a talker. That's obviously to make a distinction between himself and the senators who are in the race. It's also to remind people that he had a conservative record as governor, which is to get past some of the claims that conservatives have or the worries they have about him not being conservative enough. But we're also entering into a kind of show rather than tell stage of the campaign. So he's going to start trying to show up in venues that are a little bit different, in keeping with that theme that he's a different kind of Republican, talking to different aspects of the electorate than he has before.
Are you surprised that he hasn't broken away from the pact, or is it really much too early for anybody to judge?
It is too early for anybody to judge, but that doesn't mean people are not judging him. And some of the people that are judging him are the donors and the insiders in the Republican field, and they wonder why he hasn't broken out of the pack faster. And they also wonder about a little of his rustiness and some of his stumbles. But that's, of course, to be expected. What he does have, which will allow him to be in the race for a long time, is that he's raised a lot of money during this early period. So he has a chance to improve his condition because he has the resources.
John, I know you were at Hillary Clinton's rally this weekend. She's made some news by siding with the House Democrats on that trade bill against President Obama. That will probably play well with Democratic Party voters, right?
It will, although it will play well with them because that's a position that there's a lot of skepticism of these trade deals in the Democratic base. There was a lot of skepticism about her because she wasn't taking a position. On the one hand, she's presenting herself as a fighter. The word seems to come up every other sentence from her campaign or from her. And yet here was a fight and she was on the sidelines. So she has come off the sidelines a bit and it cleans up that messiness as well.
What did you find about her message?
Well, it was it's interesting. I mean, she was on the one hand saying, I am a three-dimensional candidate, talking about her mother, her biography, but she was also, it was very heavy on policy. And I think one of her big arguments is going to be, I have actual specific ideas here. Her speech at times sounded like a State of the Union speech full of lots of policy. And that's going to be part of her pitch is so on the one hand, it's a personality pitch, but on the other hand, it's also got a lot of policy behind it.
And then there's Lindsey Graham, who you interviewed on Face the Nation about being single.
Well, yes. I mean, his main message was about ISIS and the threat from national security. So that's what he wants to talk the most about. But he had made this aside about how he was going to have a rotating first lady. And so at the end there, I asked him if he'd gotten any volunteers. He said that he'd gotten a few, but then he made an interesting remark about, being single and there's nothing wrong with that, and sort of made a little public service announcement there for people who are single, which was a little unexpected.
Do we need a public service announcement for being single?
Well, I think his argument
two of the three people at this table single.
John, before you go, can I ask you about Jeb Bush's logo? What do you make of it? Just his name, Jeb, and the exclamation point.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of retread of his 1994 logo. So what's true today was true back then, which is he wants to be seen as his own person, not defined by his last name.
Okay. All right. Good to see you, John. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nora.